Greetings, my fellow free sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3-Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, August 17th, 2025. This is episode 1877. 7 Geniuses Who Were Conspiracy Theorists. Before I proceed, you can find me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Look Your Luck number 3, Look Your Luck Roman number 3 or 3 eyes, or Look Your Luck Roman number 3 podcast. Furthermore, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to LL3-Podcast at proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/look number 3. You can do a little crypto love and follow me at Steemit at LL number 3-Podcast. Well, I'm not going to go through any rants right now at the time being. However, I'm going to be reading this article that came from realnewsandhistory.com. It's entitled 7 Geniuses Who Are Conspiracy Theorists. And I will put a disclaimer on here. The views on this article is no reflection towards this show or myself. It's just different perspective and always see things a lot bigger than face value. This is why I tell people observe responsibly. Alright, I'll begin here. They say that conspiracy theorists aren't too bright. Only the stupid and the educated fall hook, line, and sinker for the tales of secret cabals, often headed by members of a certain ethnic group that must never be named, aiming for world domination. To impress your normie friends who attach so much importance to institutionalized education, here's a handful of quotes from a renowned world-class brainiacs that should make them safe enough to dare to do some critical thinking on the subject, that if that's possible. John Robinson, 1739 to 1805. John Robinson was a prominent physicist and professor of philosophy at Scotland's Edinburgh University. He worked with James Watt on the early steam car, and he later invented the siren. The Illuminati had attempted to recruit him, but he declined. In 1798, he authored Proofs of a Conspiracy Against the Religions and Governments of Europe, in which he exposed the secret societies behind the terrorist French Revolution, which you call them Jacobins. His warning to Europe was stark. An association has been formed for the express purposes of rooting out all the religious establishments and overturning all existing governments. The leaders would rule the world with uncontrollable power, while the rest would be employed as tools of their unknown superiors. It sounds like you see that movie Metropolis. Remember that silent movie Metropolis? Came out around 1928-29. Check it out. Henry Adams, 1839 to 1918. Henry Adams of Massachusetts was a prolific author, political journalist, historian, and member of the Adams political family. A descendant from President John Adams, his great-grandfather, and President John Quincy Adams, his grandfather. He was a Harvard graduate at a time when that still meant something. At Harvard, Adams studied Greek and Roman literature, mathematics, government, botany, astronomy, physics, and French. In 1794, Adams was elected president of the American Historical Association. He became widely regarded as one of America's foremost intellectuals, again at a time when the word intellectual still meant something. His posthumously published memoirs, The Education of Henry Adams, won the Pulitzer Prize and went on to be named by the Modern Library as the top English language nonfiction book of the 20th century. Adams' attitude towards Jews has been described as one of loathing. The noted American statesman John Hay, remarking on Adams' anti-Semitism, said that when Adams saw Vesuvius volcano in Italy reddening, he searched for a Jew stoking the fire. Quote by Henry Adams. I detest the Jews and everything connected with them. I live only and solely with the hope of seeing their demise with all their accursed Judaism. I wanted to see all the lenders at interest taken out and executed. We're in the hands of the Jews. they can do what they please with our values, Adams advised against investment except in the form of gold locked in a safe deposit box. There you have no risk but the burglar. In any other form, you have the burglar, the Jew, the Tsar, the socialist, and above all, the total irremediable, radical rottenness of our whole social, industrial, financial, and political system. Author notes, today they, by flooding the market with paper gold, the true value of even our safety box gold and silver is quietly stolen from you. Henry Ford, born in 1863, died in 1947. By age 15, Henry Ford had taught himself how to dismantle and reassemble the timepieces of friends and neighbors, gaining the reputation of a watch repairman. The mechanical and visionary genius became America's leading industrialist and founder of the Ford Motor Company. Ford pioneered the development of the assembly line technique of mass production, making cars affordable for the middle class. The increased productivity enabled Ford to pay his workers unusually high wages. During the 1920s, Ford published a series of essays under the title The International Jew, the World's Foremost Problem. Quotes by Henry Ford, and if, after having elected their man or group, obedience is not rendered to the Jewish control, then you speedily hear of scandals and investigations and impeachments for the removal of the disobedient. I know who caused the war, World War I, the Jewish bankers. I have the evidence here. Facts. You can say the Rothschilds. All right, I'll continue on. Thomas Edison, born in 1847 and 1931. Thomas Edison was the most prolific inventor of the 20th century. The Wizard of Menlo Park was also a first-rate scientist and businessman. His creations include the stock ticker, battery for an electric car, phonograph, the motion picture camera, and the light bulb. Edison is also credited with having created the first industrial research laboratory developing electrical power for mass use, along with Tesla, and being rewarded an incredible 1,093 U.S. patents. Edison was a very close friend and vacation companion to the anti-Semite Henry Ford. Though actual quotes cannot be found, we learn from Jewish resources that Edison did indeed share his buddy Ford's view of the big Jews. The great genius struggled for many years to keep the Jews from using his motion pictures without paying royalties. He eventually lost any control he had to the Jews, would later establish Hollywood. Quotes about Thomas Edison's belief. Like his friend Henry Ford, Edison was virulently anti-Semitic and blamed the Jews for all the world's major problems. Notable Names Database, or NNDB. Israeli post-authority officials were red-faced yesterday upon learning that Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, who is appeared to be on an Israeli stamp to be issued soon, is believed by some to have been an anti-Semite. The Postal Authority, informed of these claims by the Jerusalem Post, began to launch an investigation yesterday into the charge. Alleging that Edison was anti-Semitic are Stephen Esrati, a philatelic journalist in Ohio, and Ken Lawrence, vice president of the 56,000-member American Philatelic Society. That's from Jay Weekly, quoting the Jerusalem Post. Number one, Ford and Edison, the two legends, were bosom buddies. Two, those Jews who stole my motion pictures, Henry. Three, I'm telling you, Tom, the Jews set up the Federal Reserve and brought about the Great War in Europe. Ezra Pound, 1885 to 1972. Ezra Pound was, without a doubt, the preeminent American poet of the 20th century. The literary legend actually mentored Ernest Hemingway, T.S. Eliot, Robert Frost, and other great writers. Pound's best-known works include Repostes, from 1912, Hugh Swellen Marley, 1920, and his unfinished 120-section epic, The Cantos. Having become disillusioned with America and England, Pound moved to Mussolini's Italy and also praised Hitler's achievements. Pound was never shy about expressing his feelings toward the big Jews, whom he blamed for both world wars. After World War II, he was captured, abused, and forced to stay in an American insane asylum for 12 years before returning to Italy. Quotes by Ezra Pound. You let in the Jew, and the Jew rotted your empire, and you yourselves out-Jewed the Jew. The big Jew has rotted every nation he has wormed into. Your infamy is bound with Judea. You cannot touch a sore or a shame in your empire, but you find a Mond, a Sassoon, or a Goldsmith. Bobby Fischer, 1943 to 2008. Bobby Fischer was an American chess grandmaster and world chess champion. He is considered by many to be the greatest chess player who ever lived. Starting at age 14, he played in 8 U.S. championships, winning each by at least 1 point. At 15, Fischer became the youngest grandmaster and candidate for the world championship. Still only 20, he won the 1963-64 U.S. championship with the only perfect score in the history of the tournament. Fischer was very outspoken. His condemnation of the Zionist conspirator controlling America, like Ezra Pound. Fischer also became an expat relocating to Japan. Quote by Fischer. My main interest right now is to expose the Jews. This is a lot bigger than me. They're not just persecuting me. They're not just my struggle. I'm not doing this for myself. This is life and death for the world. These goddamn Jews have to be stopped. They are a menace to the whole world. I hope the country will be taken over by the military. They'll close down all the synagogues, arrest all the Jews, and execute hundreds of thousands of Jewish ringleaders. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, hopefully I pronounced his name correctly, 1918 to 2008. Alexander was not only a Russian novelist and noted historian, but also a survivor of Stalin's Gulag. His Gulag Archipelago remained an international classic. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1970 and was finally expelled from the Soviet Union in 1974. He has been honored by some of the top universities in the West. Towards the end of his life, some of Solzhenitsyn's, hopefully I can pronounce his name correctly. Okay, sorry about that. More controversial anti-Semitic writings never saw the light of day in the West. In 200 years earlier, Together, and other essays, the great writer cryptically alludes to a worldwide Jewish conspiracy behind the Bolshevik takeover and the oppression of Russia. Here's his quote. Quote, you must understand that the leading Bolsheviks who took over Russia were not Russians. They hated Russians, they hated Christians. Driven by ethnic hatred, they tortured and slaughtered millions of Russians without a shred of human remorse. More of my countrymen suffered horrific crimes at their blood-stained hands than any people or nation ever suffered in the entirety of human history. I cannot overstate it. Bolshevism committed the greatest human slaughter of all time. The fact that most of the world is ignorant or uncaring about this enormous crime is proof that the global media is in the hands of its perpetrators. Christopher Langan. Christopher Langan is an American horse rancher and autodidact, self-educated, who is believed to have the highest IQ on record. Estimated on ABC's 2020 as somewhere between the freakish 190 and 210. The genius level is about 130. In 1999, he was described by some journalists as the smartest man in America or in the world. Langan has developed a theory he called the Cognitive Theoretic Model of the Universe, CTMU, which he claims that explains the connection between the mind and reality, therefore, the presence of cognition and universe in the same phrase. Academia will not publish his papers for lack of credentials. Langen's embrace of conspiracy theories caused him to fall out of favor with the media. Though he does not specifically use the J word, it is clear that he is referring to when he mentioned the banksters. For one, to Langen's social media post, the United States and the world is being systematically subjected to indoctrination designed to compel whites to engage in miscongenation, which is genetic race mixing, thus to dilute whites out of existence in a vast Eurasian Negroid race of the future, as mandated by the Rothschilds, Warburgs, and other pillars of international banksterism. Soon enough, the real goal of the race mixers will be realized: no more white people, just a vast sea of black, brown, and yellow drones genetically adapted to life in the world hive and totally controlled by his greedy, malefic masters. The outside-the-box creative genius of Robinson, Adams, Ford, Edison, Pound, Fisher, Solheisen. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry if I butchered his name. And Langen enabled them to see clearly see the big picture. I'll be very frank. I understand the synagogue of Satan, the banksters, the order, and all that. And I'll be very frank. There's many people who are considered Jewish renounce these individuals, including the Hasidics and many others. The ancients are saying, like Jews against Zionism. Just to give you some examples. They're just one particular group, not in its entirety, have this mindset of being part of the one world order. They're naive. Semites actually came from the Middle Eastern areas and areas of Europe, Phoenicians and Arabs, Hebrew. I guess a couple more areas, but not the ones that are from Khazaria or Khazar. That's one thing people use that anti-Semitism has been so diluted. Because I've done my homework for a very long time in these areas. It's like using the race. Because if they disagree, your race, the same rhetoric. It's pathetic, disgusting, and unacceptable. And I'll tell you one thing, these particular maggots, these global order hacks, their time's coming. People are seeing it little by little. The Aquarian Age is here. The Enlightenment. Is going to be obstacles in the way? Absolutely. Stuff's going to be done by design? Of course. Expect false flags and all that good stuff. And there are many of them are involved. This is why I always tell people you judge them by their actions, regardless of who they are. Always think Art of War by Sun Tzu. That's one of the areas about the information war. And these individuals with that mindset are wigging out. Even the organizations they try to control or propped up is being exposed, stripped naked. I give you an example. I was never founded in any defamation league for almost 35 years. I knew what they were about. It was too obvious. Now my hunch and hypothesis and my theories, which theory is a merit, by the way, is coming out. Even the late great Aaron Zellman from the JPFO, founder, executive director for Jews for Preservation of Firearms Ownership, had the courage to call out the Anti-Defamation League, and they were cowards. I probably said it in my last episode, and I apologize for that. That's why I go on ethics rather than ethnics. That's why I call individuals like that ginos, Jew in name only, synagogue of Satan, imposters, frauds. They don't have anything Hebrew in their DNA, unless they can really prove it. There are times coming, folks. Keep pursuing, spread the truth, and do it with love and in good faith. They're just one particular clique that try to screw everyone, including the Jewish community around the world. Well, that's my intake on this. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. Any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. You can hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. I'll leave a footnote of this article on the episode. And if you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/local3. If you want to follow me, give me a little crypto love at Steemit LL3-Podcast. If you want to support realnewsandhistory.com, there's donations for that site. And that is all. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance, healthy for soul, can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.